George Mesker's father, John Bernard Mesker, was born in Germany on February 22, 1823. He came to America in 1835. Settling in Cincinnati, John trained as a tinner, a craftsman who worked with small sheets of iron dipped into molten tin. In 1844, at the age of 21, John struck out on his own, making trips up and down the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, stopping at small towns, selling hardware, stoves, sheet metal, and provided repair services from a flatboat he built. In 1850, John decided to move to Evansville, Indiana, having formed a good impression with the town during a visit with his brother and local grocer, Henry Mesker. John opened a store where he produced stoves, copper, tin, sheet ironware, and eventually began galvanizing iron for buildings, later being credited for introducing iron cornices to the city. Around 1870, 20 years later, John moved his store to the corner of Market Street and Court Street, and 4 years later changed its name to J.B. Mesker and Son. The company flourished into the 1890s, provided a fertile training ground for his sons, all of whom attended private and business schools to help with the family trade.
It was a peaceful place to do business. It wasn't part of the hustle and bustle of the East. And many of them saw Evansville as a valley of opportunity, like the slogan was in the 60s, that this place had an abundance of natural resources, wood, farmland, water. So you had people like the Cooks, you had people like the Eigelharts that started their flour mill, later D. Meade Johnson, with cornmeal and baby formula. So the Meskers were just like many of these other people with an entrepreneurial spirit and a knowledge of manufacturing. They saw this place as a valley of opportunity. The Evansville Brickworks produced most of the bricks that built the factories in town. So really Evansville was a city unto itself. It truly made almost everything that it needed. There was no real reason to import anything.
In 1912, brothers Ben and Frank Mesker opened the Mesker Brothers Ironworks in St. Louis, so not to compete with their brother George in the same town, who owned George L. Mesker and Company in Evansville. Both companies became very successful. The company's products are often referred to as Meskers. The companies also produced tin ceilings, iron railings, stairs, roof cresting, ventilation grates, iron awnings, skylights, and freight elevators. In 1915, Mesker storefronts were in every state, including 4,130 in Indiana, 2,915 in Illinois, 2,646 in Kentucky, and even 17 in the territory of Alaska. Ben Mesker, co-owner of Mesker Brothers Ironworks in St. Louis, passed away on January 23, 1936. His brother George, owner of George L. Mesker and Company, passed away on October 31st of the same year. In 1900, George Mesker had given his hometown 40 rugged and beautiful acres of land for a park. In 1915, he gave the city a check for $25,000 to buy adjoining lands. At his death, a third gift was revealed. It was to lift Mesker Park out of the ranks of the average city parks and place it on a high plateau. George Mesker's final gift to Evansville was $750,000. It stipulated that $500,000 was to be spent for improving or purchasing additional property for Mesker Park. It also established a trust fund of $250,000. The income from this trust was to be spent on music in Mesker Park or in other parks of the city. The city not only accepted the gift, but created a parks board to manage the new property. Also at the time of his death, George Mesker bequeathed $53,000 to 63 of his employees. Employees who served 10 years received $1,000, and those with 5 years received $500. The $1,000 gift would be equivalent to $25,000 today.
I think that people like George Mesker, who left Evansville a legacy of money, of land, did so because they recognized where their success came from. I think many times the wealthy people of that time recognized and valued their roots. Any American city you can look at came from the blood, sweat, and tears of families. These were people who worked really hard and repaid their community with sizable donations and legacies that give us the things that we take advantage of today.
Today, Mesker Park is one of the finest outdoor properties in the nation and the pride of the tri-state. One has to wonder what would be on that land today had it not been for George Mesker.